Okay, guys, I'm just gonna get into this real quick. Let me get the TikTok stream going. So this is gonna be straightforward, but I think it'll be mad insightful when we start to break this down. Like, who gave the most of themselves to Homelander? Obviously, Homelander was getting mad worship, right? Homelander was getting it. Like, a lot of people were bowed down to Homelander, because look, this guy had all the power. Like, I can't blame anyone for how they handled Homelander's situation, right? If you gotta bow down, you gotta bow down. It is what it is, right? Homelander himself was like on display saying, "Look, man, I'll get down on my knees and do what I gotta do for survival." So it is what it is, man. Like, we want to hold people to standards of like being resistant and all that. And like, man, it's tough out there, right? It's really, really tough. But I wanted to take a look at like who gave the most of themselves to Homelander, like who really gave it up, right? And I wanted to take a look at each of these because it's interesting the levels of degradation that people would go to, right? To be down, like to just stay down, right? So obviously the tops on my list, and you can see them out. And these are all heavy hitters in like what they did, for Homeland in their association with Homelander, right? Now the first is obviously the Deep, and we're gonna talk about each of these, right? We're gonna talk about each of these because they deserve their own breakdown. The Deep, Firecracker, right? Who gave up a lot, right? Black Noir, and Ashley, the ultimate survivor, Ashley Barrett, right? Like Ashley, right? Like, this is who it is. And obviously this is a poor representation of Ashley here, but we got to do what we got to do, right? Now, each of these guys really gave up their identity, and it's debatable, right? Like, if we look at the Deep and we're like, what did the Deep give up, right? Well, the Deep gave up himself at a real core, man. Like, the Deep lost everything. He's the most humiliating submission because it's all fear. Like, you were just like willing to take every single level of humiliation, no matter what, right? And it's funny because I would wager that Homelander respected Butcher more than he respected the Deep. So the thing about it is, like, he knows deep down that Homelander despises him. In fact, he feels like most people do actually despise him. The Deep actually knows how deeply distasteful he is. He really does. He really does. I think that he gets it. And I think that he feels it from Homelander because he's always reading Homelander's face. Like, you're always just like kissing Homelander's ass, like kissing anything for any like shred of it. So you know that Homelander despises you, but yet you're always like all up in his grill. You condition him yourself to be obedience because this proximity gives you your whole identity. Everything about you is access to the Seven. You literally would do anything. And in that moment where Homelander was like, I want you to blow A-Train, and you got up to do, you were like, what? Wait, what? And you got up to do it. Like, I don't know if he would have killed you if you didn't do it. I don't know if he would have killed you if you didn't do it. And he probably would have killed you if you didn't do it. But considering that you were just going to die in a couple of seasons anyway, a worse death, right? In a worse position, you should have died right then. You should have went on and died when Homelander told you to blow A-Train. You should have got up out of there right then and there, right? Like, you know what? In fact, let me do this because I kind of gotta center him a little bit here. I want to center him a little bit because we're like, I'm gonna focus on you. Like, this is a pivotal moment in the Deep's history. Obviously, hindsight is always 2020, right? But going back to the Deep, like, there was a moment. Like, you had a lot of moments. You had a lot of moments, man. And I felt like one of your lowest moments was when, in the last season, your last run-in with A-Train. And he and A-Train were kind of like on the same track when the story started. They were kind of on the same. You're both in the Seven. You're both like whatever dudes. both you are could be in, could be out at any time, all that stuff. But A Train deviated eventually away from the deep. And you saw him with each progression of like stuff that he was asking him to do, that he was like, oh man, I want to do this, right? Like you saw him, like I want all the fame and all the accolades, and I'm willing to kill people, but this isn't necessarily what I want to do. I just want to be in the movies. I just want to like be a star. I just want to be that, right? So there was a difference. So we saw a fracture with A Train and the Deep, and that's what their rivalry really came to be. And there was even a moment like at the end of it where they met up for the last time. They kind of have their, little repartee, right, as it were. And he's like, I'm still gonna get your family. And it was in that moment that the Deeps kind of looked at him and was like, man, you're just gonna go out being this. Like even after all that, you're still right here. And that's who he was. So like the guy morally was just no morals, just absolutely no morals. Absolutely no morals whatsoever. Just I'm a predator. No, he didn't respect himself. He didn't like himself. Like this is what made him particularly bad, is that we always knew that the Deep did not like himself. His issues with his gills, his whole like sub mind frame about kind of talking to him, that whole thing, like his body dysmorphia. He didn't love anything about himself, and that's really hard. Like you're a soup. And you can't even find any reason to like yourself within being in a suit. This guy was completely dependent. Now, you would think someone who has all these associations in the literal sea, right, would be able to find friends. And you did find real friends and love in the sea, right? You did, right? You had homies. You had Timothy, who seemed like he was real down homie. Okay, you ate him, all right? And then you had Ambrosia, right? And Ambrosia was like, man, a very loving and beautiful octopus. So like, I don't know how much better you could have done in the octopus world, right? With a friend like Timothy and a lover like Ambrosia, right? I don't know, okay? But you killed both of these people who you supposedly loved, right? But the person who didn't respect you, you were willing to do anything for. The sea, they turned the sea against you. Like you lost the sea. You lost the sea, right? Like the sea is your whole identity. You're the Deep, and the Deep can never go into the sea again. Like that's how you ended up. And as soon as you went into the sea represented, man. The sea let you know in that particular moment, we were not playing with your bitch ass about you can't come around here anymore. We're gonna kill you. So the Deep, and what made it worse for the Deep is that you lost it. You were always trying to claw to get it back. And in the end, after you've done everything that he asked, Homelander takes away the one thing that gave you any kind of legitimacy, was being in 7. And he knew it. And then he told you the only reason he hadn't killed you is because he enjoyed watching you be absolutely useless. Just absolutely be miserable. He enjoyed watching you be nothing, right? And feeling that way all the time. He didn't have enough respect for you to kill you. He didn't have enough. He had more respect for the people he was fighting against than you, who would do anything for him. So the way he went out, man, that's a powerful way to go out. Right now, he's headlining my list of who took it the worst. Like who got the worst out of I'm giving up everything to Homelander. So then, of course, that brings us to Firecracker, right? Firecracker, who I actually feel like is kind of a tragic story in this. Her story is not as funny to me as the Deep story is, because she gave up her faith, right? And not that I am even a person of faith like that myself, but I understand what that means, right? Inside of it, she actually admired Homelander. I think the Deep always just feared him and gravitated towards power. I think she actually admired him. I think that was someone who actually did have love for him. I think she desired his approval, his power. She reshapes herself around him. She doesn't submit just out of fear. She actually had worship, and this is where she becomes a really tragic tale, because what she gives up is her ideology. She gives up the authenticity. Like I think the representation of Firecracker, like we kind of get it. We kind of get like how the demographic that she represents gets mischaracterized and kind of denigrated all the time. Like she said it. Like her beef with Homeland with Starlight was like, yeah, I'm poor white trash, and you're talking down to me, and and you're this like upper class, beauty queen, right? Like it was that tension. And she even had that with Sage, right? Where she always felt like she had to defend her community, right? We get that. We get that part of her. And the thing about it is, like, she was right to defend her community. Like, where she comes from, those are good people. Like, let's get past all that stuff, right? So she was, in a lot of ways, this ideological girl. She was ideologically authentic in what she believed. She gave all that up knowingly. And I think her big moment was the moment that, she tossed her Jesus toy into the trash. Like, when she, tossed Jesus in the trash can, obviously it's great symbolism and all that, but she's given up her faith. Like, she gave it up, and then she went snitch and lied about her own pastor, the man who had fed her, to make sure she had a hot meal, a couple times a week, right? So she gives up a lot, and she may be the one who gives up absolutely the most in, because she died having given up her faith. She gave up her faith, and then she immediately died right after doing that. So she had no opportunity for redemption, while begging to again reject her faith for him. So your last words were begging him to take you back and continue to reject your actual authentic faith, and then you died. From the implications of what that means within her faith, right? Within her faith that she believed in up until that point, that has massive ramifications of punishment, right? So that's where I really rank her, probably going out as one right now. Like right now, she's actually, I believe, superseded the D because of the gravity of what she did. Okay, then this brings us to Noir, Black Noir. And through every iteration, and we're talking about the original Black Noir, for him, yeah, he gave up everything. He gave up his voice. He gave up his identity. He became, remember, the original Black Noir, he wanted to be up front. He wanted to be getting roles and stuff like that too. And then you got his face all burnt up and part of his brain blasted out. And now he's no longer able to do that because he's crazy. So he gives up his voice and he stays silent. He becomes strictly like an assassin. His identity is more of a symbol, less of a man. He's not really a man in that regard. He doesn't have an identity. He no longer has any dreams. Whatever he wanted to be, it's dead now. He has no public recognition. He doesn't get any glory. He's just like no spotlight, no shine, no nothing. And you had wanted this. So all this stuff happens to you and you respond, which is pure time, right? So he gave up his living identity. He gave up all of his hopes and dreams. Like on a psychological level, man, it's really a lot. It's really a lot what Noir does give up for Homelander. And the thing about it is, as we talk about this, Noir and Homelander still had one of the purest, most authentic relationships that Homelander had was with Noir. That was the whole thing. Like, that's the ironic part. If Homelander had a friend, it's Noir. And I'm going to talk about that relationship in a little bit. But, so I still think as of right now, I think Firecracker gives them up. Now, Ashley, this is just honorable mention, right? Ashley is the ultimate survivor. I don't know why they made that her power. Her power should not have been a brain, a head on the back of her head. Her power should have been like, what was homie's name, man? Darwin, right? Off the X-Men. I adapt to survive. Because this bitch adapted to every single scenario ever possible, right? To stay alive. That was the whole mission. That was a dream. And somehow keep climbing up not only the corporate ladder, but the political ladder, right? Like, Ashley achieved a lot, and she did whatever she had to do, man. When she realized they was killing everybody who didn't have Compound V in her system, she got her some Compound V ASAP. Like, ASAP or dapper. I thought it. I manifested it. It happened. Now I got powers, and I'm in here with everybody else, right? Like, just like that, I decided to save my own life. Because that's who Ashley was, right? Ashley, like, She gave up a lot, like morally, like psychologically. She let him take her mental health from her, her hair. She's pulling her own hair out. Like Ashley, like you went through a lot, man. You went through a lot to stay within that orbit until the very end. You rode it until the wheels came off. That is literally the mechanisms of what this young lady did. Like it's masterful staying alive, staying alive. I'm staying alive. She did whatever she had to do to get the job done, man. And I applaud you, Ashley. I applaud you. But out of people who truly sacrificed of themselves, who gave up the most of themselves for Homelander, like it's a tight race between, in my estimation, it's a tight race between Firecracker and the Deep, and even Noor. I put Firecracker, me personally, I rate Firecracker at the highest level because she gave up her faith. The Deep comes at very close second, and it's even tough with him and Noor, man, because Noor, you also give up your identity. You have no identity. You thought you could have been like Eddie Murphy. You thought you could have been getting action movies, but instead you got shut up. And then they put you on a podcast where all you can do is communicate with the pressing buttons, which is just like you get none of the women, like nothing, none of the perks of this do you get. Like you're gonna be in the 7 and it ain't gonna matter. You're not gonna enjoy it. So it's a tough one. I still kind of say the Deep gave up more of himself than Noor, because Noor tried to fight back. You did get beat down. You tried it with Homelander. I mean, you tried it with Soldier Boy. So by the time Homelander came around, you're like, yeah, I'm not trying that again. I tried to stand up for myself and get some shine when it was Soldier Boy, and that didn't work out, right? So this is why you are who you are right here. But an interesting part of this, right? The interesting part is all these people gave up for Homelander. Who did Homelander actually love, right? That's an even deeper psychology to what was really going on here, right? So let's take a look at who Homelander actually loves, okay? And it's a short list, right? And you're going to see some names in here. I know you guys are going to be surprised by this, right? I know you're going to be surprised by this, right? Okay. Who loved Homelander? Who actually loved Homelander, okay? Now, I got a list of who loved Homelander. We're going to see some names here right now. Obviously, Ryan loved his father. Ryan even said to the end, like, he knew who his father was. He didn't want his father to be that, but he loved his father. This was innocence and admiration. There was a level of unconditional acceptance that Ryan has a really big heart, right? The only person that could really hurt or disappoint Homelander, right? Like he had him psychologically, and even in the end, Ryan's portrayal was the right thing to do based on how Ryan had been raised. Ryan still had a good heart, and he would again, I'd rather see my dad not exist than to go and hurting all these people. So Ryan was placed in a very difficult position, and I think he would have been most happy if Butcher had taken his pop's powers away and his powers and not killed him. I think for Ryan, that was why we can't reconcile. But I think definitely like Ryan loved his dad, okay? I think now this is a different one here. This is a different kind of love here. We gotta see that love is on a scale. I think within the context of what they were, I do believe that Madeline Stillwell loved Homelander within the context of what she represented. Yes, she was controlling. Yes, she was manipulating him. Yes, she put the corporation first. All those things. And we saw this tension kind of come out when she, had her baby, right? Like there was a lot of tension around her baby and him because she represented, again, that mothering figure, and now he was having to share that mother figure. She was his maternal love. She was his nurturing. She was his emotional comfort and stability. That's 100% what she was, right? Like, so she did she genuinely care? Within the context, everything worked out if she could keep him happier, right? And calm. And I don't know. It seemed like to me this was the singular best option that he was going to get for love, right? Was Madeline Stillwell, and how she represented it, how she came at him, man, that was really all he had. So like, was it a truthful kind of love? Maybe. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was the best. I think her intentions were always within the company parameter. Would she have rather him have a good life? I think that, again, for the purposes in part of controlling him, I think she would have been like, yeah, it's okay if he has a decent life. And how she dealt with him on like, she did. I don't remember her really showing a lot of fear, even in the, god damn it, even in the end. I don't remember her having an overabundance of fear of him, right? I think she was like, the fact that she was able to kind of relate to him, that she had, obviously it was manipulation with the intimacy part, but look, that's not a lot of different than what regular people get, right? So when I'm looking at Madeline Stillwell, and I'm like, yeah, she was manipulative. She stayed within the corporate parameters, and was she still capable of actually having positive feelings or even love feelings for Homelander? I think she did. Like, I kind of feel like I'm gonna qualify. I had to show this up here because obviously my representation of Madeline Stillwell falls well short of her actual Madeline Stillwell-ness, right? So just to get that up on screen, like, so this is who she is. And I know for him, she still represented the most, like, reliable person in his life. That's who she was. That's why when he gets a hint that she's been lying to him, she's been manipulating him, which she has been doing the entire time, he really loses his top, right? He absolutely flips his wig and he pops out because, like, that was the betrayal that he could not take, right? So we see that from her. Now, the next person on the list is obviously Stormfront. And these are people who genuinely loved him. They genuinely loved Homelander. And she did. Ursa, and we'll see, when the new series pops off, like, I think it's Vought Rising, she's going to see, in this, this in him. She sees the culmination of his power. That this is the validation of what her mission has been for the last, like, 70 or 80 years. So she genuinely does love him for who and what he is. Is there I don't even know if she was really manipulating him. I think she was making an argument of why he should join her. What she represented. Now, their agendas were different because he never fully embraced just like, I want to be the leader of the entire nation. He was still just a narcissist who cared about himself. I think there was a respect because she didn't fear him. And she's probably like, outside of like Ryan and maybe Madeline, that's a key. She didn't fear him. She was, even when he laser beamed her, she was like, yeah, come on, laser beam me, stop being a little bitch about it, right? Like, and so there was a level of he could be himself, as sick as it is, he could be himself around Stormfront. I think everything about him, I think there was levels of, I'm manipulating you to come get into the organization. Yeah, I'm going to give you everything you need. Everything you need. You want to get worship? Right here. You want to be loved? Right here. You want to be told that you're special? Right here. So she really was, I believe, 100% down. And we're going to see more of her character coming up. Now, an honorable mention on this, and I'll often say this, and I'll talk about this again, was talking about Nor. Like, Nor again pops up because they were genuine. There was a time they were genuinely partners. I think most of their relationship, Nor and Homelander, were pretty much lock in step. It's because Nor had already been beat down. Nor got beat down by your pops, right? Severely beat down. Like, he took that shield and knocked a piece of his brain out. They mutilated his face, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was there. And previously, he was a cool looking brother too, right? Had a little taper fade, kept his top up, right? Looked like he used Bevel products and his honey scrub to keep his face right. He was all that. He thought he was going to be up there with Eddie Murphy, man. Like, I already got power, and I legitimately have powers. So the relationship between these two, the silent devotion of Nor, like, this was one of the realest relationships ever for Homelander, and even he lamented it while he pulled Nor's guts out. So there was a lot within this relationship that was honestly, I think, his closest thing to an actual friend would have been Black Noir, right? Like that's kind of what he represented. Okay. Now, who did Homelander actually love? Because we talked about who gave up the most for Homelander. Okay. We talked about who loved Homelander. Who did Homelander actually love? Well, the list changes a little bit, but we see some consistency on there, right? I believe that, yes, he loved his son Ryan. I believe he did. I think like seeing it, like, you know, this is a lot of biology at work. I think he was limited on being able to show love. And I feel like that was his one actual shot for redemption. I feel like Homelander's actual shot for redemption would have been Ryan. And I kind of was like, man, when they wanted Ryan to go out there and kill his pops, I'm like, yeah, that doesn't even sound like something Ryan would do, because he's not wired like that, and you're gonna lose Ryan, and you did. What was her name? Not Madeline, man. Oh man, the woman in charge, man, the CIA operative. I can't remember what her name is right now. When she got killed, because you're trying to force Ryan into being a killer, which he was not gonna be. So I think that Ryan loved Homelander. I think Homelander loved Ryan. I think who also did Homelander love? I think he generally loved Madeline Stillwell, like the mother that he never had in Madeline Stillwell. Let me crop this bad boy so it fits up better. But this is like, in terms of him, I think that's why when it came down to like, I'm being betrayed, it hurt a whole lot more coming from her. Because I think he genuinely was like, yeah, this was his most intimate relationship on a lot of levels. This is a person like that he could talk to. I could rest my head on your loving bosom and get comfort, right, from being around you. That's who he genuinely loved. Like Madeline Stillwell, girl, you was right there. And that's why it stung so bad. That betrayal, that he had a laser eye beam your eyes out, literally, right? Like you had to get all that action, okay? Then of course there's Soldier Boy, right? And Soldier Boy, that's the father figure you always wanted. So yeah, he did genuinely want that relationship with his father. He genuinely did. I think he saw himself as the progression of this man, and saw him as like you're the model of true masculinity. And yeah, if you had been around, maybe he would have. Well, he turned into you, which is probably worse than what he is right now. Maybe, I don't know, maybe. But in this framework, who did Homelander actually love? I think Soldier Boy was actually one that he really loved. And I'm gonna say the last one, of course, is I'm gonna put Noor back in. Noor's been on like almost every one of these flips here, because Noor was actually like the brother that he trusted. Like that's who Noor was. And again, like we see him reacting to betrayal like extremely harshly. So this is kind of like where his mind frame was. So he did experience some love. He experienced some levels of getting love. It was more temporary, and also giving love temporary as well. But this is just like a psychology. Like you see, the people who gave up the most for him are not the people who make it down to the later sections of the list, right? They didn't survive. He ended up killing most of them. The ones who gave the most for him, except for Ashley, like the MVP of all this, Ashley Barrett, who came out of this, like that's what it needs to be said. I just want to give a little bit of love for how Ashley navigated her way through this mess. It was brilliantly done and deserves like all of our props. Like I'm telling you right now, guys, Ashley Barrett, like come on, man. To me, this is absolutely a classic character, and she did whatever she had to do, man. When she had to roll with Homelander, she did it. She took every opportunity to be a predator herself. Whenever the opportunity came for Ashley to go in on somebody else, she fully embraced that. Ashley was real and was hardcore about this, and she would do whatever her morals. Even in the end, like things got questionable, Ashley still rolled with it. So I just want to break down who Homelander really loved, like what the orbit of being around Homelander actually was like, and what it took. And we see who was willing to give it up to be around Homelander, and ultimately like how it worked out or didn't work out in various degrees. But I'll be back later. I'll probably talk about like Homelander's. At some point, I'll talk about the father figures in Homelander's life because this will be significant as well. And breaking down like the lunatic nature that was going on in his dome. It was a lot of stuff going on for a young mind to have. I don't care if you have superpowers. Your psychology, your mentality was still that of a fragile human. And they broke that part of him pretty quickly and effectively.